Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, Peacemakers, and so much more. I'm your host, DJ Wooldridge. With me, as always, is Roxy Stryer. Good morning, Roxy.
Good morning, DJ. That's me.
If you all are just listening to this normal, you missed out on what patrons got as a fun travel talk. But this week, we're going to be talking about the most recent episode, as of this recording, of Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 6. But before we get into that, I like to start.
Ignorance is Chris.
Ignorance is Chris. Pun titles. We've been doing a lot of pun titles this season. I can't remember if we did them in the previous season. I'm going to assume we did. But I like to start every episode answering comments from the previous episode. So this is from a couple weeks back because I was traveling. And so this is going to be from our episode we did with Adam where we were talking about Man of Tomorrow. Ooh, that's pertinent to what we're talking about today. And Antonio Enrico says, one thing that excited me about the Justice League movie was the stinger of Deathstroke and Lex. I thought they were building towards a hero team versus villain team for sequels, something that hasn't been done. It's always a group of heroes teaming up for a threat that they can't handle solo. Roxy, in James Gunn's DCU, what do you think? How close are we to superhero team versus supervillain team, do you think?
Do you mean in years?
I'll take the answer in either years or installments.
I don't think we're that far away in installments.
Yeah.
In years, we're further away.
Yes.
Have you ever heard Joe Manganiello talk about DC?
No. What's he say?
And Deathstroke?
No. That he's bummed about it? Is he bummed about it?
Like, furious.
Yeah. I would be too, man. That was going to be... Because it's not like he's an unknown.
Right. Like,
but they were talking about making a Deathstroke movie, man. That would have been great for him.
I'm also sure he had to turn down a significant amount of other opportunities.
Yeah.
In order to do that. He actually, like, on podcasts, audibly refuses to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it is, like, I heard him, he went on Christian Harloff's show, and Christian was like, yeah, so, like, how do you feel about it? And he was like, and he's done 15 interviews with Christian. They know each other well. And he was something like, come on, man, don't ask me about it. Come on. I'm not calling that. Like, it's just, I'm almost immediately like, I will cut anybody. And so anytime I think about how bummed I am that we didn't get to see that come to fruition, I'm just like, but not as bummed as Joe.
Yeah, Joe, because he was going to be the villain in Ben Affleck's Batman movie.
Yeah, there was clearly a lot promised to him that was never delivered upon. I know that didn't exactly answer your question, but just who was the commenter who left that?
This was Antonio Enrico.
Antonio, you weren't the only one who was counting on that.
Yeah. That was so Carrie Kelly 7606 says my prediction is Man of Tomorrow is a Luthor movie where Superman is the antagonist, and they've been coy about it, saying it's not a Superman sequel because they didn't want Marvel doing a movie from the perspective of the villain first. So the way I feel like this has been presented is kind of a team up with Superman and Lex. Roxy, what do you think the chances are that is actually technically a Lex Luthor movie with just Superman kind of playing the antagonist role?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Obviously, I think we're talking today, DJ, about that Brainiac image or the cover image with the brains.
What?
Nope. Did you not see the script of?
Oh yeah. The script he posted where it's an
really
image of a human brain.
Image.
I was like, wait, there's a Brainiac image? Yeah, but the brain. That's a good point though. Brainiac. Yeah, there's something there. Yeah.
What I think is going on. So something with Lex and Brainiac. I don't believe that this is a Lex movie, but I do think that Lex will be more heavily featured in this movie than he was in the first Superman.
Not against it. I rewatched. I gave myself a little treat this weekend. I rewatched Superman because it's on HBO Max. I'm going to own it. I'm going to buy the Blu-ray. I just haven't yet.
Is that your version of a little treat?
Yeah.
That was the most, what is it called? Wholesome. That was the most wholesome movie.
My little treat watching Superman. I was like, because I watch a lot of, we consume a lot of content for work. So a lot of time I'm watching stuff. It's kind of work related.
Yeah, but I'll be like, I gave myself a little treat. I ate 4 cookies instead of 3.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm going to watch Superman again. I don't know why. I always cry during it. And it's like, I don't know why. This is the 3rd time I've watched this movie. Why am I crying?
At home. I haven't watched it at home yet.
It's good. It's good. Well, especially it was good watching it this time, knowing about Man of Tomorrow, because I paid more attention to Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor performance, and he real good. He's
What was
good
he
generally.
from?
Nicholas Holt's just good,
He's so good.
but he good in this role, I think.
He's really, really good. What made you tear up at home?
Dude, same stuff. I mean, I think it's just I think it's stuff like the rightness of it. Like David Cornsweet, just, yeah, that's Superman. You know, Nicholas Hoult is Lex Luthor. Yeah, that's Lex Luthor. Stupid stuff. I cheer at stupid stuff. Like my favorite scene in the movie is the conversation between Clark and Lois when the interview.
Right.
And it's just so, as a fan, it's like it's just so right. It's like, yeah,
Right.
this is it, man. And then we get into some stuff. It's funny watching it again that there is things about it that I don't prefer. That it's like, this isn't a choice I would make. But I think the stuff that matters, everything that matters is correct as a fan. It's like, yes, this is what I want to see at least. That's
And
how I
that's
phrase
kind
it.
of the point of not being the filmmaker is that they're allowed to do things that you don't prefer, but if they
Yeah.
do everything that you need,
Yeah.
that's like what makes it a great movie.
Yeah.
And I feel you on that. There are things like I've been vocal about the fact that in 5 years' time, which is a song that I've known for 10 years,
Yeah.
that I thought that was the wrong song choice. But because of my own personal connection to the song and years of listening to it, I thought that was the wrong choice. But it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It matters so little. And there was probably about like 5 to 10 of those little moments or choices that I was like, I would have made a different choice. But guess what?
Yeah.
I don't be the filmmaker.
Yeah, and I just think that I think the stuff that matters for me feels so right, and especially, which I think is even more important when you're building a universe. And I really like the fact that because Sal and I just went through all the Superman movies in preparation for this movie, and so if you would ask me the best scene of Superman Returns, it's the plane rescue. If you know what I mean, like most of it's like this set piece. If you ask me the best scenes in Superman 2025 are all the Clark Lois scenes. Anytime we touch base with those characters touch base with each other, it's like, yeah, this is perfect. This is exact, and I think that's really cool because it's not like because you mentioned the Mr. Terrific scene. I do think it's kind of a bummer that the best action sequence belongs to in a Superman movie belongs to Mr. Terrific. That's kind of a bummer that he gets the best one, but I don't care. Like it doesn't matter, and I don't care.
Do you like the movie more now after 3 watches, or did you like it more after your first watch?
I think I like it just as much, but the stuff the third watch is like the stuff I like. It's really cemented of like, yeah, I really appreciate this. I really appreciate the craft of it, and I'm more sober about the stuff like, oh yeah, I don't know that I think this works entirely. So it's a little bit in some ways more sober. In some ways, it's like, no, but this part, oh my god, I really appreciate.
Gotcha.
That this exists. And that's honestly true of all Superman. Even the Richard Donner original Superman, there's that whole like scene with Superman and Lois flying where she's like, can you read my mind? It's like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, what, you know what I mean? So that's true of every Superman movie. That's not unique to this one. But yeah, so you rewatch it, kids, especially might pertain to, we're talking about the Peacemaker episode we're talking about this week.
I'm really curious your thoughts on Peacemaker this week because of this.
It's a big one. It's a big one, gang. Greek Junior 2 says to that quote is going to focus on Superman comment. If any character should take on the Iron Man role of the DCU, it's Superman. The MCU has suffered recently without a core focus or even a core trilogy to build up a character. Superman should be all over this universe, honestly. The Trinity as a whole should be. How do you feel about that, Roxy?
I don't really understand the comment.
So we got a question in that episode that was like, do you think Gunn's too focused on Superman? And so this person's response to that is like, Superman should be the Iron Man of this universe.
What's
he should
the
be the
Iron
center
Man correlation? Just saying,
being
like,
that Iron Man, the whole Infinity Saga was kind of revolved to some degree around Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Like he was the central figure of the Infinity Saga in the MCU pre-Endgame.
I hear him. I don't think he's. I think you can't be too invested in Superman if you are starting a DCU. Like, it is so essential. One thing I will say though that people don't like that I've been saying and I've gotten a lot of heat for is that I don't think the Trinity is the Trinity. I think it's very clear how important Supergirl is in this world.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to get our Batman, we're going to get our Wonder Woman, but I think it's a big 4.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the 3.
We'll see how well Supergirl does. I think that'll determine
I would say
central.
normally you're right, DJ. It will depend. It will determine, but I feel like Gunn doesn't really give a crap. So it might not deter. Like if it bombs, it might still be.
It'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see because I think a lot of these projects were ones that were being in production prior to Gunn taking charge that got refocused once he got put in charge. So they were already working. And I've actually kind of wondered about this because if you look at reports on previous Superman films, like Man of Steel also shouldered the budget of the failed Superman Flyby and the failed Superman Lives. Like that was part of the Man of Steel budget, was all the other times we tried to do. Actually, I think it was Superman Returns shouldered the budget of Flyby and Superman Lives. So I kind of wondered, like, is James Gunn, is the $250 million budget on James Gunn's Superman partly because of the failed Man of Steel 2s that we tried but didn't? Is that like?
We're gonna have the Michael B. Jordan Superman movies.
Is all those grandfathered in under that umbrella? Anyway,
I don't think so, because I don't think that the price of the drafts of those. But I do hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It just made me wonder. But
Supergirl, I could see that being the case
because we were working on one, and they were working on a Green Lantern show for HBO Max or whatever it was at the time. And so I'll be interested. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what the response is to Supergirl for a couple reasons. One being, I don't think the response to superhero movies is what it was pre-pandemic. 2, Supergirl has a lot of cachet, but one of the reasons a lot of people right now, she'll be on her mind, it appears to be a very different interpretation of the character that was on our TVs for 5 years. So it'll be interesting to see how people respond to what appears to be a very different type of Supergirl, and see how that goes. And it'll also just be to see, like, hey man, are movies actually going to be happening next year? Who knows, man? Who knows? Mischief Man 872 says, I just got my copy of Danger Boy and the Antagonists in the mail. Woo! And I wanted to say great job to everyone who made it. It was a really fun read, and I'm glad I sprung for the physical version. It was definitely worth it. Thank you for leaving that comment. To anybody else that has backed and received Danger Boy, let me know. Let me know what you think. I'm really proud of it. I would really like to know what people think.
How's been the reception so far?
So far, so good. The response has been really great, which makes me very happy. I
know this is not the question that you want right now, but is there hopes for a future of Danger Boy?
Yeah. There definitely is. So right now, Sean, I don't know. Sean's working on another project for a publisher that I just now realized I don't know that how much I can say. So I'm not going to say that.
Working on something.
Yeah, Sean's working on something. And once he wraps that, we're going to be working on the next volume of Danger Boy. I've already got plans for it.
Very cool.
And I'm very excited about it. It means a lot to me. I'm very proud of it. I will say that for fans of my comics or independent art, I do have another Kickstarter coming this October, just in time for spooky season. If y'all go to graveyardshiftcomic.com, I'm working on a new horror comic called The Graveyard Shift. It's my opportunity.
This is my first hearing about this.
Yeah, this is not technically, because we talked about it when we were talking about Terrifier. I think on one of the Patreon episodes, I mentioned that I was working on a horror thing.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So this is that. This is my horror comic. Is one I've been working on for a while. I'm working on with artist David Stoll and colorist Francesca Citarelli, who also worked with me on Hellbent, and letterer Micah Myers. And it's my opportunity to tell a story in a similar vein to other horror movies I love, like The Evil Dead or Gremlins, or if you want like kind of more modern points of reference, I just mentioned Terrifier, Five Nights at Freddy's, stuff like that. But it follows a bunch of hourly workers at a fast food place that work the overnight shift. And during the overnight shift, they are faced with evil mascots and customers that are trying to eat them. A bunch of stuff that, as I mentioned, we just recorded Krypton Academy. And as I mentioned, it all may or may not be a metaphor for the evils of capitalism. But at the end of the day, it's just a fun, bloody slasher horror romp. So if you were a fan of Danger Boy, it is totally pretty different from that. But if you're a fan of Hellbent, it's pretty similar. It shares a lot of DNA with Hellbent. If you're watching the video, here's a look at some of the mascot characters that may or may not try and kill our heroes. But if you want, go to graveyardshiftcomic.com. If you could click the notify me on launch button, that's very helpful for me because it helps me gauge the interest in the project leading into the campaign. It'll also allow you for updates as we get closer to the campaign. And if you go to graveyardshiftcomic.com, there's also a preview of the first 6 pages, which are kind of like a prologue that sets kind of the vibe and the tone of the project, and you can learn more about the project. So if you're interested in horror comics, if you're interested in horror generally, and if you just want to support independent art as maybe more mainstream art, you know, and the corporations behind them might be letting you down, go to graveyardshiftcomic.com and check that out. I'd really appreciate it. Please and thank you.
DJ, could you see one day one of these comics being IP turned into show, movie? Like, would that be on the horizon for you as something you'd want, or?
I would be open to it. I'd absolutely be open to it. I'd absolutely do I see it happening? Ooh, I'd be open to it.
The horror world is just so ripened for that.
Yeah. I would definitely be I'll say this. This was originally conceived. I have a feature script of this. That's how this was originally conceived, which I don't normally do. I don't normally, like, if I have a movie script, it's a movie.
Oh,
if
cool.
I conceive it as a comic, it's a comic. I try not to cross-pollinate in that way. But there's been a big resurgence in the past few years. I've been working on versions of this project for over a decade. But there's been a big resurgence in horror comics. And I was kind of like, no, I could see Graveyard Shift as a comic. And it's exciting to see it come to life. David's been a really good collaborator. And so if you guys, maybe there's enough support on Kickstarter and the studios come sniffing around, I got the feature script. I got it. I got it.
That's great. You're locked and loaded. That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our charity of the month. This month's charity is the International Rescue Committee, which is working to help the people of Gaza as they face famine, ethnic cleansing, and genocidal violence. As the IRC website notes, over 64,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza and more than 160,000 injured since October 7th, 2023. Nearly 2 years of conflict have left over 2 million Palestinians, half of whom are children, without access to sufficient water, food, or medical care. Famine has become a deadly reality. Despite restrictions on aid delivery, the International Rescue Committee continues to reach Palestinians with life-saving healthcare, cash, and emergency support. With operations in more than 40 countries around the world, your donation to the IRC will deliver critical aid where it is needed most. If you're like me and you're deeply concerned about this crisis and desperately searching for any way to help, I highly recommend you check out rescue.org. And if you make your donation before 11:59 p.m. on September 30th, it will be matched by generous donors. So if you're listening to this episode when it drops, you have a couple days. Make sure you go to rescue.org, make your donation before September 30th at 11:59 p.m. so it can be doubled. Now back to the show. Let's get into some news. We're going to start with the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, Roxy, because I don't think I've seen a lot of response about Mandalorian and Grogu from like the Star Wars crowd. And I have my opinions about this trailer, but I'm interested to see how it impacted somebody that let's say is more of a fan of the Mandalorian than I am.
I'm more of a fan of the Mandalorian than you are, but I want everybody to remember I'm more casual of a Star Wars fan than you are in terms of knowledge base. Like,
Okay.
I have seen all of the live action Star Wars properties except for Ahsoka, which I don't know why I just didn't watch it. I've never
That's
seen
fine.
any of the anime. I haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels.
Yeah.
And I've seen all the movies at least once. And a year and a half ago, when I was on a show with the World Girls and they mentioned that Luke lost his hand, I didn't remember that. So that's the level of Star Wars
Gotcha. Yeah.
than I am. But I watch things and I like them. I liked Andor. I like Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I liked Obi-Wan. I like the shows. So
Yeah.
they're fun and I like them. Not
Everything you're saying makes me more excited. That's exactly the perspective I want to know, because I don't think I'm going to surprise anybody with my opinion on this trailer. So
Right.
I'm interested to see, like, you're the exact person of like, did you see this and you were like, yep, I'm in.
So the first thing I saw was people's response to this.
Oh, okay.
Which was, this looks like a TV show. This looks like a TV show. F this TV show. I be liking TV shows.
Mm-hmm,
I was like, okay. And then I watched it and I was like, it was the fluffiest trailer I've ever seen. It was all fluff.
Yeah.
I like Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
I like that one moment where she slides back there, grabs back the money that
Yeah.
Grogu. I like a team up thing. I thought this looked like the show, and I liked the show, so I was like, yeah, this seems like another episode, but on the big screen. And I'll probably like this movie. Would be my guess. In all fairness, I completely understand why the vast majority of people I talked to were like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, sure.
Yeah.
Nah.
I think
I'm guessing you are nah.
Nah, I'm not. I'm not. But I think you described it. The fluffiest trailer is like, yeah, that's perfect. That's the perfect way to describe it. Because I think you really need to be, for this trailer to work, I think you really need to be like Team Grogu. Because this trailer is like, remember Grogu? Remember all the merch we sold for Grogu? And it's like, man, I don't give a fuck about Grogu.
And
I don't care.
Am Team Grogu. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
yeah. This is cotton candy Star Wars.
Yes,
and
yeah.
I think it's very difficult for people after just having Andor to have cotton candy Star Wars, because the people who loved Andor are like, but I don't want your cotton candy, and I'm like, I like it all.
yeah. And it's one of those, and it's funny because obviously I've been pretty vocal. I loved Andor, but I don't need this. I don't need this to be Andor.
Right, because
that's
you
not what I
loved. What was the show that we or not loved, but we both liked the one everybody hated?
The Acolyte. I liked Boba Fett.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like. Yeah, I don't mind when Star Wars goes far afield or has fun.
Right.
It's just this is very fluff. It's very like, wow, I just don't care about what's happening. And
what did you think about Skeleton Crew?
I thought it was fine.
Was
I liked Little Blue Elephant Boy.
Yeah,
I think that guy.
So cute.
We should bring that kid back. He was great.
You prefer him to Grogu?
Yes.
Okay.
I think part of my problem with this is my problem with Mandalorian generally, because it feels like the most toyetic Star Wars has been, and Star Wars, a big part of Star Wars has been selling toys. There was a reason when George Lucas negotiated for, I think it was for Empire Strikes Back, he's like, I keep all the toy rights because that's a big part of it. But it's like it's basically a buddy cop movie, but your two main characters is one guy with a mask on all the time and the other one is a puppet. And it's like, there's nothing here, man. There's just nothing to this. I need something to hold on to beyond the toys you're trying to sell. Here's a question. I think this segues into one of the other things I want to touch on news, but we're going to have to touch on it quicker than I anticipated, but that's fine. Did this feel to you like a desperate attempt by Disney to be like, hey, stop talking about Jimmy Kimmel?
I think undoubtedly, yes.
Yeah.
Corporations do this all the time.
Yeah.
Not surprising. I didn't hear people talking about Jimmy Kimmel because this, so I don't think it worked, but I definitely think they were like, shh.
Yeah,
Grogu.
They sent out a panicked message to Jon Favreau, like, what footage do you have that we can have right now?
Yeah. One thing I will say about the Kimmel situation, though, is just that I'm so proud of the people. I'm proud of the people for not being distracted by this trailer. And, to anybody who wants to say Disney and ABC brought back the show because it was the right thing to do because of the complaints, it's obviously not what happened. This obviously was because it financially impacted them. And
yes.
It's impressive that the people were able to financially impact them so heavily that they were like, fuck it, all right, you guys win. And it was a nice victory for the people to know that, like, you can enact change. And that's very cool. I did see one really funny thing that I forget who did it, DJ, but there was some celebrity. Was it Noah Centineo? It was some like teeny bopper celebrity that was like, see, I canceled my subscription. And then in the text, it says, like, you can now officially start watching again September 20, whatever.
They suspended it.
And they suspended it, but it was clear he bought it to cancel it, to show that he canceled it.
Nice.
Like, because it gives the date that you buy it 1 year later. Shit. And it was just like, that was the most performative, hysterical thing I've ever seen in my life. But for the rest of the people who just canceled and they put their money where their mouth is, it's impressive.
Yeah, 100%. So for people don't know what we're talking about, what I'm going to pull from is mostly that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Jimmy Kimmel. So I'm pulling from Gizmodo. So Jimmy Kimmel was back on the air Tuesday night after being suspended last week by ABC's parent company, Walt Disney Company, following pressure from President Donald Trump and FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. So for the short version of this, basically, Jimmy Kimmel was given a monologue. The reason that was given was that he was given a monologue, and he mentioned Charlie Kirk in a way that they found offensive or whatever. And then Brendan Carr went on a podcast and was basically like, they should pull Jimmy Kimmel if they know what's good for him. I'm paraphrasing. That's not the exact wording. Don't come after me, Brendan Carr. And the affiliates. So for people like me that don't watch live TV anymore, the affiliates that air Jimmy Kimmel Live pulled it, and then ABC followed suit, pulling it entirely. And now ABC's brought it back, but the affiliates haven't brought it back yet, as far as I know.
7 states in the country that you can't see this or something like that.
Yeah, but I also saw Jimmy Kimmel got, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but like Jimmy Kimmel got the highest numbers he's gotten, I don't know, in a long time. And it was like, let's say 6 million, and then
it was 6.8 mil or something. Yeah.
But then the views on YouTube were like triple.
Yeah.
So it's one of those like, okay, so you can't see it in these states. Like, go see it on YouTube.
This is such a niche question, DJ, that I'm just asking. But can they monetize their YouTube views?
Yeah, because it's from them.
From them.
Could.
So
they
imagine
could.
that they made so much money on that.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. I have a Truth Social post from Trump here where he talks about it, and I think admits to a crime. Not that matters. I'm not going to spend time reading it. We don't have the time for that.
His first crime ever.
Oh my God. But I do want to get to a question I wanted to ask you, Roxy. Fortunately for us in this show, before you and I would have to have a conversation about whether does this mean anything to us about what we cover, it was resolved-ish, right? But I do want to, and maybe this is going to be a conversation we have off there at some point, but let's assume something like this happens in the future, because why shouldn't we assume that? At what point do we have to consider, do we stop covering Disney stuff? Like, would this have been, because the reason, if people are wondering, the reason that this is a line for a lot of people is because this is very clearly the government trying to quiet free speech. Like, this is a very clear assault on the First Amendment. It's a big fucking deal. And it's getting a lot of notice because it's Jimmy Kimmel. Obviously, this isn't the first time the government has cracked down on freedom of speech, but it's getting a lot of headlines.
And credit to Jimmy Kimmel for giving credit to people who are on the complete opposite side of him for standing up for him, because even a lot of people on the right and left, of course, were saying this is a violation of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just people who follow what he say that were saying what you're saying now.
Yeah, so like for us and the stuff that we cover, we've obviously in the past few years had to make a lot of tricky decisions about what we cover and what we don't cover. Like at what point do we consider not covering something from would this have been a line for us? Like,
I think about DJ on the other end of things. At what point do I consider not working for companies like that? Like, it's not just coverage. It's like I'm consistently auditioning for them. Like, haven't booked yet. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this kind of goes to the conversation we had about, like, for me, anybody that's cast in a Harry Potter thing at this point, it's like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing?
This is what, honestly, like, I am such a hypocrite with this stuff. I truly am. And like, I think it's very difficult to grapple with that. Like this morning, I saw on my Apple TV that there is a show called English Teacher that's coming out for season 2. Do you remember what that show is?
Oh, for FX. I don't know anything about it. I just know, here's how I was able to ping what you were talking about just now. When we were driving back from the airport, there was a billboard that says The English Teacher. I was like, FX. I thought that was the guy Glenn Howerton's show on whatever. I'm like, no, that's AP Bio. That's a different show. So I don't know anything about The English Teacher other than I confused it with AP Bio.
So the star and the creator of The English Teacher is in the midst of sexual assault allegations right now. And by another man who was on set that I believe claimed that the creator, like, during one of the scenes gave him fellatio while they were under the covers without like his permission, and he didn't want to stop the scene. It's like a very intense situation that's going on right now. And and it's FX, so Disney. And this is happening, and I do my TV recommendations every week, and I loved season 1 of the show. It was like truly brilliant, and I saw it pop up for season 2, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Do I watch it and not recommend it? Do I not watch it? Do I like? But also, like, he hasn't been proven guilty, but like, I don't know that the courts now have good ability to prove guilty for things like this anyway. But just like I have so many, and same thing with like the Harry Potter show. A lot of people have asked me, am I going to watch it? I don't know. I'm not sure. And I heard, what's her name this week, Emma Watson, on Jay Shetty's podcast being like, I feel as if I am able to hold two truths at once. Like, she was beautiful to me and she sucks in life. And I'm like, well, I didn't have a personal relationship with her, but I do appreciate the art that she's created. And it means something different to me than clearly it meant to her, because I thought we were on the same page about what equality was. So I really don't know. And yet, if Mel Gibson's name comes up, I'm like, I would never watch one of his. I do not cover. So it's hypocritical. And when it touches ourselves, we have different. Kanye West, when his name comes up, I'm like, I don't listen to his stuff anymore. I do not listen. So I'm really having to like question myself and search within, being like, Rox, I don't know that I'm handling this well right now.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's a tricky thing, and it's tricky to try and navigate, because the universal you, me, everybody. Yeah, you're kind of a passive. If you're engaged with the content, you're kind of like a passive. You're passively ingesting it. You're not part of the system making it. And then there's people working on jobs. And then you mentioned the Mel Gibson thing, and then I think like he's part of that John Voight, Sly Stone triumvirate of guys. I'm like, does the Sly Stone get splash damage from the Mel Gibson Association and the Trump like, does that, like, what, even though him as a person, as far as I know, hasn't said or done anything that, you know what I mean? Like, he's just now he's associated with people that I find not good. It's tricky. And I think where we've landed on this show is we're not in a position to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't boycott. I will, however, co-sign what Roxy said, that all the people that really not just canceled the Disney Plus subscriptions, but changed their trip plans. Because I know my wife and I were talking about getting a annual pass for Disneyland, and then this hit, and we're like, nope. Disney will never know that they didn't get that money. It's not like we had it and canceled. We were just like, oh, we should do. No, we're not going to do that.
I kind of do know, DJ, because I'm sure that they account for a certain amount of people a day that get that, and I'm sure less people in that week got it. So I'm sure that still did hit their wallet. There's also people who didn't show up for their jobs for a couple of days. Yeah. And those people risk their entire livelihood.
And this is also a great argument for why, as we live in an era where, Paramount Skydance is looking at buying Warner Brothers Discovery. This is a good example of why we want those companies separate, because as you just mentioned, Disney is FX and Fox and Hulu.
I do know what you mean. That's why I'm telling people the truth about me, because I don't want to sit here and about the choices people make, because I don't think I'm making the right choices across the board right now. I'm a work in progress, and I'm navigating what my boundaries are and what actually affects change. But it was cool to see change was affected by the people for this. Yes. I don't have any Disney subscriptions, because I use logins from other people's.
Oh no.
But that week, I didn't recommend any Disney shows on any of my platforms, because that was like my little stick it to the man, whatever. Yeah. Everybody makes the changes that they can tolerate. So it's tough. It's tough, DJ.
It's tough and getting tougher. I wish they'd make it less tough. The other thing I was just going to mention, I'm just going to mention it, is Marvin Jones III, who played Tobias Whale in Black Lightning and voiced Tombstone in the Spider-Verse movies, has been it's been rumored. It's more than a rumor. He's not confirmed though, because Deadline didn't get Sony to confirm it. But he's basically, apparently he's going to be playing Tombstone in the Brand New Day. That was another piece of casting news that might have dropped to distract from the Jimmy Kimmel stuff. Who's to say?
He's great.
Yeah, he's great. Yes, I agree. He's great. And I am excited for that movie. But
I feel you, man.
Yeah, but we'll see. It's a Sony, and it's Sony. None of these corporations are your friends, gang. Not a single one of them is your
We're
friends.
about to talk about Peacemaker. Are we really about here to say that
Dave Zaslav, hero. Oh, none of them are your friends, but James Gunn might be. I don't know. Let's talk about Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 6. Ignorance is Chris. As the 11th Street kids fight to bring their missing member home, Flag doubles down on his efforts to hold Peacemaker accountable. And I'm just going to say this right at the top. Spoilers, gang. Spoilers. There's going to be spoilers for Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 6. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it before watching this, because I'm not going to hold back, gang. Other than saying, here's my one spoiler-free thought, best episode of the season, I would say, so far.
Yeah, I agree. And without spoiling, because every storyline progressed.
Yes. And also, I'll say none of the storylines that are my least favorite this season showed up, which unfortunately is all the Eagly stuff. Not that it's bad. There is
a fun Eagly moment in this.
There's an Eagly moment, which I like. And by the way, the CG on that eagle's fucking great. It's insane how good that eagle looks.
Yeah.
But also, none of the bird blindness or Eagly's the king of eagles or any of that stuff that is not bad, but it's like, this is...
I kind of wondered why Tim Meadows was in this episode. Like, you guys paid him for it was so, but yeah, okay.
Favorite Tim Meadows moment, other than all the jokes are great because Tim Meadows is great.
So great.
But my favorite Tim Meadows moment this season is when they, in the previous episode, when Flag is beating the ever-loving shit out of Chris. And the play is to have Steve Agee, why can't I remember, Economos, book him, so they have to let him go. And Tim Meadows is like, no, that was good that you did that. I'm like, we have issues with this guy, but he's on the level a little bit.
Totally. That was a great moment to like show his boundary.
Yeah. And we also get a moment of Rick Flag Sr. where you realize this guy has an Achilles heel, and it's a little bit higher up on his torso, up the leg than the heel, but he's got a weakness. This guy, Rick Flag Sr. Yeah. Oh man. Anyway. Spoilers. Guess what, gang? Spoilers. Lex Luthor's in this episode.
It's so crazy to me that after we said that we were going to Belle Reve, I didn't place that it was to go see Lex.
Well, for me, immediately, because I just literally the night before I just watched Superman, and they say like we're taking a Belle Rev, so immediately the second I said, I'm like, oh fuck, it's gonna be Lex.
I should have clocked that, but I didn't. And then when we saw him, I was like, I'm an idiot. Of course. And I think that that's cool. It does make this required viewing for Man of Tomorrow, and it does make Superman required viewing for this. So
yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. God, also Nicholas Hoult was the most expensive cast member on Superman. So I wonder if this was that part of the deal? Like, hey, we're gonna shoot the Peacemaker scene while you're on set for Superman.
Yeah, we know that these were shot in the same place at the same time, so I have to assume that must have been part of it.
Especially because we don't want to have to make him shave his head again for it. But
he clearly did a half-day shoot. Like, yeah. This was a quick in and out.
It was a quick. He's so good though. Roxy, Nicholas Hoult is Lex Luthor. And this doesn't surprise me, man. Nicholas Hoult plays a good heel. He's a good actor, but like real good. Like I like where he's like, no, if that's the first thing you're offering, let's cut to the best thing you're going to offer. Let's cut to the chase. Let's get to it.
Yeah. I also think that it's good to see Rick Flag Sr. across from him, because if you've watched Creature Commando and you've seen Superman, like, you know a little bit more about Rick Flag Sr., but like in Peacemaker, he's kind of a villain. But sitting him across from Lex, he's like, is it a meta or not? Because if not, then we don't care.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like Lex is straight up like this universe's version of racist. And
he's a bigot. That's the interesting thing. Yeah, it's hard. It's not as obvious to clock because he's mad at fantasy things that we don't have in this world.
Right.
But especially in the episode where we find out, spoilers, that it's Nazi Earth, is Chris's ideal Earth is Nazi Earth. It's like, yeah. And I wonder if we're going to engage with that in a meaningful way in like either this show or Man of Tomorrow, where it's like, I understand, Lex, that the people you're mad at have like superpowers, but you're basically just a bigot, is what it is.
Right. And Rick Flag Sr. is not, seemingly. They're not the same kind of big bad. Because Rick Flag Sr. is not even a big bad. He's lost his son.
Yes.
I just thought that was a really good way of introducing it. when you say engage in this in a meaningful way, I think this episode is excellent, and I hope that by the end of the season it remains being excellent, because it's not going to be excellent to me if we don't engage in a meaningful way. You can't introduce a Nazi Earth,
Especially now.
especially now,
Yeah.
and then not follow through on some things. Like when Keith comes out and says, one of them got out, black or
Yeah.
whatever he says,
Yeah.
got out of what, and it seemingly we have some form of concentration camps, some
Yeah.
form of camps.
Yeah.
So we have to acknowledge and address and see and have conversations. If it's just for like shock factor, that's dumb, and I would be shocked that James Gunn would do that, because I think he does do a good job of trying to actually make points.
Yeah.
So if we don't engage meaningfully, then what are we doing?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I do think with, we could, I don't know if this is meaningful, but like with Creature Commandos and GI Robot, it's like, he knows what he's doing. But I agree with you that it can't just be like, oh my God, it can't be like how I don't think we're at a time and a place where you can just do what we used to do, where like Nazi just means bad. It's like, no, it's a specific thing. It's a specific thing that we need to unpack in, I think, a specific way. I also think that, going back to the Rick Flag Sr. of it all, I don't think him saying that he needs Peacemaker in this portal to save the world is a feint. I think that's true, but I don't know what. I think there's a card being held back about like, actually, like I kind of wouldn't surprise me if I'm going to call this Earth X, because in the comics, typically
Right.
Earth X is the Nazi Earth. If the Earth X thing is resolved, there's 2 more episodes left. If that's resolved next episode, and then Rick Flag is like, great, here's the big threat that I need, this is why I've been a pain in the ass this whole time.
Right. Yeah. I definitely agree with you that there's got to be more to why, and he says as much too. I forget his she's not his assistant.
She's not. So the actress, I think, is Sol Rodriguez. I can't remember the character's name.
I have to be honest, she's only the part of the show that just is not working for me. There's some like disconnect between, but maybe that's on purpose. Maybe she's like a plant or something. I don't know, but there seems to be some kind of disconnect.
Yeah.
But just he kind of says to her, I'm not just doing this because of vengeance for my son, and so there's got to be more. What was the part of, like, because obviously we have the Jennifer Holland scene that's like the most amazing scene. We've got all the stuff with ads. We've got the huge cameo from Nicholas. There's just Adrian and Adrian meeting up.
Love that, by the way, because this whole season I've been like, little light on Vigilante, and now it's like, don't worry, I got you.
Totally. What was the thing that you cared the most about? Was like, what was the thing that came on screen that you were like, oh yeah, I'm so happy to be here right now?
All of it, all of the above.
Cool.
I think just for different reasons. As a Vigilante fan, and it's so crazy, the Vigilante is such a dweeb, but he's got the coolest fucking costume.
He really does.
His costume's so fucking cool, and I love that. Like, he's a psychopath, he's a crazy person, but I like that in this other universe. Well, the one thing that's true about Vigilante in every universe we visit is he's not a racist. That is a line for him.
Yeah, true. It is interesting that when he walks in and sees his parents and he's like, oh, my dad's not gay here. And it's like, oh, honey, you are living in Nazi country. You think he's not gay, or you think that he's just staying with your mom? Like,
I love the reveal where they're like, the reveal that it looks like they're going to be at odds, but actually, no, they're great. They love each other and they're on the same page about everything except Chris.
Yeah.
But I like, as a fan of Adrian, all of that. We got a lot of Adrian this episode. It looks like we're setting him up to even more next week. Love that. Nicholas Hoult is great at Lex, and this was a great, like, man, I think they're really nailing the shared universe thing, which makes sense because the only 3 things we've gotten have been by the same guy. But I think the best scene, and I think James Gunn on social media said his favorite scene was the one between Chris and Harcourt.
that scene was amazing, and I think like oddly relatable. She is doing such a good job of holding back her emotions to like, and speaking that out loud. Like, I'm not you. I can't just share this.
Yeah.
She's in a very tricky position, and I think that one of John Cena's biggest, most impressive skills is that even though this show is called Peacemaker, and even though he's the star of the show, he really lets other people have scenes. And like this was Harcourt's scene,
Yes.
and he let it be her scene, knowing that this was her scene, and not trying to like mirror or one up.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive, and he does that a lot.
I also like, this is more from a writing perspective, I like that Harcourt almost immediately clocks what's weird about this world. And in Chris's defense, he's dealing with both his dad and brother being alive and loving him. And so that could have given him blinders, but I like that Harcourt like immediately like, no, this is weird. And Chris is just not aware of it.
Yeah, I felt so dumb not clocking it until people told, like, until I was seeing comments a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh my God, how did I not notice that? I'm part of the problem.
Well, in our defense, the media landscape is what it is, and extras have been the way they are.
And also, we're dealing a lot of time in the government, and a lot of times white people be in the government. So,
yeah.
But still, I was like, oh. And then in this episode, because that's been building for so long, I thought it was brilliant. The tension that you feel as an audience member, the longer that ads has not gone outside.
Yes.
And
when she's like, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm like, don't do that.
Because at that point, everyone knows, like, I don't know what, but they don't want you here. So like, that was just so brilliantly the pressure building and not just having her immediately go outside.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And who knows? I have a feeling that Judo Master is going to be the one that saves her from the situation she's in, because we didn't touch base with him at all.
Well, he would very likely be in wherever she gets sent.
He might already be there, or he might because remember the Judo Master is pretty capable, so he might have already gone through a similar situation as her and gotten away.
Yeah. I also wonder if Rick Sr. is gonna go somehow get there. If that means that Tim Meadows is gonna somehow get there, what does that mean for him?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I will say there's been a level of this season of like, it feels a little cheaper than I expected. And then Nicholas Hoult showed up. I'm like, oh. Yeah, and who knows what the next two episodes have? Yeah, who knows what the next two episodes have? That like, okay, this is where our money went. Got it.
Yeah, I have to assume this isn't the one and only cameo.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I know some people have been talking about. I don't watch the next episode stuff because I don't like to be spoiled.
Neither do
I. But apparently, there's some hints that I've seen people talking about online. So we'll see. It would kind of surprise me if we get a bigger cameo than Nicholas Hoult. Like, it would kind of surprise. Is David Cornswell bigger? But I don't know. Like,
a lot of people think that Superman's going to be in the finale.
I mean, we do have a long history of Nazi Superman, alternate Earth Nazi Superman. So like, maybe.
It is a very dangerous place for audience members to be expecting Superman in the finale of Peacemaker, but you never know.
You never know. Well, I'm excited to see where the show goes. If you guys want to hear us keep talking about it, you can go to patreon.com/onlysuperAnswers, where we do a show called What We're Into, where we talk about what we're into. Roxy, where can the kids find what you're working on?
Everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. If you go over to my personal channel, I do a show called Trash Talk once a month, where I have conversations I try to have conversations outside of our normal, like, movies, TV shows. And I had one of my old pastors on to talk about how kind of Trumpism has co-opted Christianity, and if there's ways to like separate those things. And so I think it was a very it's a conversation I've been looking to have on that show for a long time. And I'd like people to go check it out. It's doing okay, but I'd like people to go check it out because I think it's meaningful with everything going on. So check that out. Check out graveyardshiftcomic.com. And thanks to everybody that joined us live, and we'll see you all next time.